Welcome back to Between Bells. I'm Hannah Ostapchuk. Three-time Paralympic snowboarder Amy Purdy knows what it means to not let anything slow you down. She earned her place in history as the first double-leg amputee competitive snowboarder and has carved a successful career despite challenges thrown her way. Joining us now is Amy Purdy, three-time Paralympic medalist and first double-leg amputee to snowboard in the Paralympic Games. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, of course. So the Paralympics ended on Sunday, and you made your debut as a snowboarding commentator. Walk us through what that experience was like for you.
It was amazing. I mean, obviously, I like to challenge myself because I was challenging myself as a Paralympic athlete myself. But then to be able to be a commentator and be able to support the game, support the athletes in a completely different way. It was a lot of fun. It was also just challenging and like adrenaline pumping in its own way. So I was very grateful for the opportunity.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's such an inspiring event. So a few members of the U.S. Paralympic team took home medals this year in snowboarding. Who were your favorites to watch during the Games?
So my husband and I, we run a nonprofit organization called Adaptive Action Sports, and we train a lot of the athletes to make the U.S. snowboard team. So watching one of our athletes, Garrett Giros, win a silver medal, he's a single leg amputee, lost his leg in a motorcycle accident, came to us when he was depressed and down and out. And he was a wrestler in high school, but when he lost his leg, he didn't know what to do. And so he started snowboarding with us. And to be able to actually train him for the last few years, he lives in our house as well, part-time. And then to actually watch him, and as I was commentating, I was watching him win his silver medal. For me, that was the highlight of the Games.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That is just so cool to see. I have to ask you about this. Ukraine won the second most gold medals at this year's Winter Paralympics, and especially with everything going on with the Russian invasion. What was the emotion like at the Games when all of those athletes competed?
Oh yeah, I mean, so I actually didn't get a chance to be in China. I was coming in from Connecticut, but I was listening to what all the athletes had to say out there, and there was so much support for the Ukrainian athletes, which was amazing. Everybody came together, supported the athletes. It's amazing. Oksana Masters, she brought home an incredible, historic amount of medals, and she is part Ukrainian and part U.S. She was born in Ukraine and lives here in the U.S. And so it was an amazing camaraderie that came together to support the athletes at the Games.
Well, going back to the topic of mental health, it was on full display at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Now, Olympic and Paralympic athletes go through so much. How do you overcome challenges that come with the pressures of competing?
I mean, it's part of it, right? It is. It's like the mental part is the most important part. And that's also the hardest part. It's like if your mental game is strong, then everything else follows. But it's so easy or so fragile at the same time because there's so much pressure. And so I think, as athletes, we're now focusing even more on mental health than we ever did before. And that's why I'm really grateful that it's come to the surface and there's such a platform now for speaking about mental health, because that's the only way that you can get through life's challenges, whether it's losing your legs, like that happened to me when I was 19 years old, or it's trying to become the best Olympic athlete in the world. I mean, those are challenges that are enormous, and it takes a lot of mental health tools to be able to get through those pressures. And so actually, I'm really grateful to have partnered recently with a brand called NextGen Healthcare. They offer a lot of resources and tools for mental health on their website, which is at nextgen.com/nextgenmind. You can find a lot of resources on there for mental health, just tools and how to connect to mental health providers, which is amazing that we can do that these days through our computer. It makes that mental health support like at our fingertips. And I think that's amazing.
Well, recently we saw Naomi Osaka break down when a fan heckled her at the Indian Wells tournament. Now, what advice would you give someone like her or just other athletes who struggle with negativity from others?
Yeah. It's a hard thing because when you are put in the limelight, unfortunately, it's like you get so much support, but then you also, you're a target. You're a target for the haters, and I think that's where you have to have your own kind of groundedness in who you are and what you've been able to do, and it's hard. I mean, you're going to be impacted by it, otherwise you wouldn't be human. So it's okay to break down, and I think we as the audience should normalize that because we're all just human. We all break down. We all have to gather ourselves and kind of pick ourselves up and keep going. Unfortunately, it's part of the territory when you're in front of the world. You're going to have people who are shooting arrows at you. And so, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to handle it, except the most important thing is just to be able to, let out what you got to let out, compose yourself so you can keep going, and just know that you're positively affecting the world. And that's all that matters. If there's one person out there that's impacted in a positive way by you being present, by you doing what you're doing in the public eye, then I think, you can be grounded in that you're making a positive difference.
And one last quick question for you. I know the Paris 2024 Paralympics will be here sooner than we all know it. So who's an athlete or two that we should be looking out for?
Oh my goodness.
I put you on the spot here.
I'm not sure because I'm not even sure if the athlete, I know, I'm actually being a winter athlete, it makes it hard. I'm like the worst at like the summer games. But hopefully I'll be there announcing. So then I'll get to know more of the athletes and then I'll be able to tell you who to look out for.
Perfect. We'll look for you there. Amy Purdy, thank you so much for joining us. This is Amy Purdy, 3-time Paralympic medalist and first double-leg amputee to snowboard in the Paralympic Games.